Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados, for yet another episode of Fighting Fantasy. As today we go into the comic book superhero world of Appointment with Fear, Fighting Fantasy Gamebook number 17, written by Steve Jackson, and we do it for the sixth time. But I last time I finally got a few clues that now lead me to believe that I'm so close to the solution of this book that I think this will be the last time. So up until now, I haven't been sure whether the secret meeting of F.E.A.R, the Federation of Euro-American Rebels, was going to take place in town or at the airport or at the harbor. Because there are red herrings that sort of try to lead you in the direction of those other ideas. For instance, you find an address and which would be downtown, but of course you're not using it because that's not where the meeting is. Last time I bumped into the main guy himself before the meeting, and that indicates to me that the airport is the correct place. And when you're at the airport, you are told that the only further clues you need, well, actually, you still need to know which hangar, I suppose, um, because you're told to add the date and the time of the meeting to the paragraph you're on. So, but I have a very good theory as to which hangar is the right one as well. And I know where to find the date and I know where to find the time because I have found both of those in previous playthroughs. So I know where to go today to get the information I need to win the game. Hopefully. Well, at least in theory, because I still don't know exactly what happens at the end of it. If there's anything else that happens that I need anything for. I have noticed there are two places in the book as well where you get a circuit jammer, and I'm thinking maybe that also is an essential item, but I don't know for sure yet. So I can imagine if you had a circuit jammer, you would be able to jam the transmission that is being sent from the Federation of Euro-American Rebels, announcing that they're taking over the world, so to speak, which may buy you more time, or it may be that if you don't have one, you're actually not there on time to stop them. So, whatever the case is, it's going to be interesting. So let's get started. Fighting Fantasy Gamebook number 17, playthrough number 6. Ta-da! Boom. Okay. There we are, right here on my desk. We've got pens, pencil, dice. I actually thought I'd use my old dice today. I got my character sheet to be, and this writing book, which is almost finished now, and I got my map, which is the important bit today because it tells me exactly where to go. I've got my book, and I've got my nice cup of tea as well, with my logo on it. Yummy. Okay. I just realized this is actually my Fighting Fantasy video number 90. That's 90. I'm almost at 100. It has been almost a year, so I suppose 100 a year isn't too bad. Um, so yeah, 90 videos. Imagine that. When I started doing this video series, I'd never imagined I would end up doing more than a few at best, and I wasn't sure if I was going to do more than just the first one because I didn't know I was going to enjoy it so much, and I didn't know that others were going to enjoy it so much. So there you go. These things happen organically, don't they? Okay, so let's get started. So we got our skill. 5, so that is 11. Stamina. 3. I don't know. Shall I re-roll that? Yeah, I'll just re-roll it. The thing is that the thing is, if I lose this game because of stamina, that would be a bit rubbish, especially now that I sort of know what I'm doing, and luck. That is 8. Let's get started. Oh, hero points. Yeah, we need hero points. I got lots of hero points last time. I think I still haven't checked my older playthroughs, but I got 17 last time, which I'm quite sure is by far my personal best. I do presume you get some for winning as well, but 17, that's the one to beat. Right, let's get started. You are Jean Lafayette, the product of a dangerous but successful genetic experiment. Although seemingly normal as a child, it became apparent in your early teens that you were a far from ordinary human being. You are gifted with a superhuman power, which you have sworn to use only for the benefit of your fellow man. As a Silver Crusader, you are well known to the population of Titan City. Most people admire you, some distrust you, but all members of the underworld fear you. Only your parents, who are both dead, ever knew your real identity and the origin of your powers. In the adventures ahead, you will begin with one of 4 powers. During your daily activities and encounters with disasters and supercriminals, you will have 2 objectives. First, you must learn the whereabouts of the secret meeting of F.E.A.R, the Federation of Euro-American Rebels, which is due to take place within the next few days. This dangerous alliance of master criminals and enemy agents is planning to overthrow the governments of the Western world and establish their own rule. Secondly, you may assess your own performance as a superhero by trying to gain as many hero points as possible. I'm going to not do that today. I'm going to actually just try to win it today. I will not focus on getting extra points. Before you start each adventure, you may choose which superpower to start with from the 4 powers listed below. You will also start the game with knowledge of 2 clues. Following the description of each superpower, you will find instructions on where to find your clue, which are hidden in the text of the adventure. Before you turn to reference 1 to start your adventure, choose your superpower, locate and read the clues, and enter the information on your adventure sheet. And also, which it doesn't say here, read the background as well. Right, so I'm going to go with super strength, of course. There is also psi powers. There is enhanced technological skill, ETS, and energy blast. And one of the great things about this book is it is actually replayable with different superpowers, and it gives you a slightly different experience. I do know for sure, because the thing is, one of the major pieces of clues you find in the game, in the playthrough itself, is the location, or the not the location, but the date of the time of the meeting is one that you get from a villain, that you get from one of the clues on your special superpower that will only be available to the person without superpower, which means that one of the vital clues that you need at the end is going to be linked to your unique path for your unique superpower. So you've got actually at least 4 different ways of playing it. And of course, there may be more variety as well, because your superpowers allow you to do different things that allow you to handle situations differently. And some situations are not possible to solve with certain superpowers, for instance. So, so I've got super strength. That's the one I've been going with, just to have a consistent playthrough now. And of course, the thing is, after today, after I finish playing this, I'm actually going to really want to play this again one day. So I'm going to look forward to that. Anyway, you have the strength of many men. The muscles of your immensely powerful legs and arms bulge through the fabric of your costume. They are developed to the point of perfection, and in combat situations, you always fight with a skill of 13. So we go 13. You also have the power to fly through the air at any speed you wish, and I've talked about the ramifications of that before. That's not technically possible, but there you go. This allows you to hover unsupported above the ground, or to chase and catch up with the fastest jet, which is one thing you can do actually in this game. To find the first of your clues, turn to reference 127. So 127 is where we hear about the Scarlet Prankster, a fun-loving criminal who delights in playing practical jokes on his unsuspecting victims, has found a new home, and one most befitting his sense of humor. When you are in the vicinity of his new residence and are given the opportunity to look for him, subtract 50 from the reference you are on at the time and turn to this new reference to find him. So we've got Scarlet Prankster minus 50. And of course, I know where he is because I've found him before. Let me go back and we can choose one of these three clues. And I think I will go with 108 because I know that is a clue I need on my path, on the one I'm planning to take today, if I don't mess it up. So there is a new menace in town, as Daddy Rich's lawyers have just got him off a murder charge. He is an eccentric millionaire who has everything money could buy. He now gets his kicks by murdering innocent victims and revels in their fear. He has very expensive tastes and lives in a penthouse apartment at 113 58th Street. So we got Daddy Rich. He has at 113 and 58th. Okay. I presume the numbers then is what you need to get the reference. Okay, so then we go to the background. So it's easy to forget once you've done the superpowers, and also because the text actually tells you to go to paragraph 1 afterwards. So background. The time of your birth was an anxious moment for your parents and their doctors. Your mother had consented to undergo an experimental form of genetic surgery. The doctors had warned her of the dangers of the radiation experiments. Their research program was nowhere near complete, but this she already knew, for she herself was one of the researchers. The work had reached the stage where progress was impossible without testing it on a human subject. Your father had not fully understood the implications when he gave his consent, and 8 pairs of apprehensive eyes watched your arrival into the world. Their first reaction was one of relief. You certainly seemed a normal, healthy baby. Postnatal tests showed no physical deformities whatsoever. In fact, you appeared to be a fine specimen. In your younger years, your development was carefully monitored with a seemingly endless series of physiological and psychological tests, all of which you passed with flying colors. The doctors and researchers congratulated themselves. Their experiments were a complete success. However, the experiments had been conducted in a shroud of secrecy. Had the world known of the risks of the experiment, public outcry would have been overwhelming and also would have been illegal. So you would have been thrown in prison and stuff, which isn't very nice. It would certainly have put an end to further genetic research. Well, probably wouldn't. And from your mother's point of view, she had no wish to have the world regard you as an experimental freak. Only a few knew what had really happened. Over the years, the testing stopped as the doctors felt more and more certain that there was no need to monitor your progress. As fate would have it, it was just when this testing stopped that it became clear that you were anything but a normal child. Your latent superhuman powers did not show themselves until after the doctors had lost interest. Your parents, who had become thoroughly fed up with the endless tests, decided that your extraordinary powers must remain a secret from the world. They had no wish to have you studied as some kind of freak for the rest of your life. You have a regular job working in an office. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at that because you never at work, are you? Working in an office of a medium-sized company. But when duty calls, you become the Silver Crusader, upholder of justice, and you have taken an oath to serve in the fight against crime in Titan City. Apart from your own super abilities, you have one other device to aid you, your Crime Watch. This neat little device, worn around your wrist, receives and broadcasts transmissions to and from your 2 most important allies. You can be contacted by police headquarters through this Crime Watch, and you can also summon the police to aid you. In addition, your friend and underworld contact Jerry the Grass is able to warn you of impending crimes through the Crime Watch. Jerry the Grass has recently become aware of an important meeting about to take place within the next few days. Vladimir Otoshtsky, leader of F.E.A.R, the Federation of Euro-American Rebels, has been summoning his aides in crime to meet in Titan City. Otoshtsky, also known as the Titanium Cyborg, is a super-villain whose field of expertise is the electronic enhancement of human abilities. He is part man, part machine, and very dangerous. Jerry the Grass has not yet found out where or when the meeting is due, but one thing is certain. Its purpose is to finalize plans for a scheme which would mean disaster for the Western world. The meeting must be stopped. You must find out where and when this meeting is due to take place and prevent it at all costs. Well, apart from killing anyone, of course. Now turn over. Right. As you walk the 10 blocks to work that morning, you can't help but feel that something is not quite right. You stop by a telephone booth to consider what it could be. The sounds of the city are the usual 8 a.m. cacophony. Cars and buses bounce past along Clark Street. Their drivers too sleepy even to try to avoid the pits and bumps in the road. A newspaper vendor bawls an incomprehensible headline, something about a robbery, at the crowds of men and women milling past him on their ways to work. Overhead in the sky, the rhythmic beating of a traffic copter's blades fades into the distance. An argument is taking place between an elderly businessman and an overlarge woman with an untrained dog whose sidewalk deposits have offended the businessman. There is nothing unusual, or is there? The difference is only barely perceptible, but there is a distinct air of tension in the streets. There are nervous twitches in the eyes of the passers-by. The cars are accelerating and braking in a jittery manner. Little things like that. To your heightened senses, the atmosphere is pregnant. Today will not be just another day. Your thoughts are broken by the high-pitched wailing of a police siren. A yellow and black Cougar GS screeches around the corner and leaps ahead through the Clark Street traffic before swinging left into Audubon Park. Behind it, traffic settles back into its regular flow. Your attention drifts back to the argument. A small crowd is built up around the man and woman. Raised voices are taking one side or the other, and the situation is beginning to look nasty. What will you do next? Go over and see if you can break up the argument. Run after the police car into Audubon Park. Buy a newspaper to find out about the robbery. Ignore all these incidents and go to work. So, I think my path is going to be quite clear now, because I need the clue that I can find up here on my map, which means I have to go into Audubon Park. That is the path for finding that clue. So it may be possible to get other places too, but that's the place I found it, and I will go into Audubon Park 289. As you enter the park, you pick up sounds of a commotion and follow it to a crowd grouped around a body. Police are trying to move the crowd on. Will you push through to see what is happening, or change into the Silver Crusader? Change into the Silver Crusader. You step, as a Silver Crusader, towards the scene. A police officer spots you and helps you through the crowd, which parts as you are recognized. Sorry, no autographs. On the ground in the center of the crowd is the body of a man of some means by the looks of him, by the looks of his expensive clothing. Lying next to him is a gold-trimmed briefcase. Why would you have a gold-trimmed briefcase? Then you're really trying too hard, aren't you? I mean, somebody who's really rich, they wouldn't have a gold-trimmed briefcase. They would have one that was of absolutely amazing quality, but it would look quite understated. Anyway. While the police busy themselves with moving the crowd on, you may choose to examine either the body, the briefcase, or the surrounding bushes. I know that I can find some clue in the surrounding bushes, and there may also be somewhere else, but I'm going to try the bushes. Well, I may have to cheat now because I think that I need to succeed on the luck roll. An unmarked police car screeches to a halt by the barrier and two detectives climb out. Meanwhile, you hunt through the bushes around the area. Test your luck. So I got 8, which is my luck. My luck is then down to 7. And I'm lucky, and I go to 405. Yeah, there's more than 400 paragraphs in this one. You reach into a thorny bush and your fingers touch a metallic object. Grasping it as best you can, you pull out a gold medallion hanging on a delicate chain. As you turn it over in your hand, you realize it is undoubtedly quite valuable. The medallion has the initials DR engraved on it. Will you hand this over to the police or take it to a jeweler? Alternatively, you may wish to visit another address. If so, add together the number and street number of this address and turn to this reference. So that's what I'll do. I've got the address now because I am going to... DR is for Daddy Rich, of course. This is his MO. This is killing people for sport, especially rich people as well. And he is on 113 58th Street, which is 113 plus 58. So that is 171. So I'm going to go to 171. You arrive just in time. As you are about to enter the building, 3 men turn the corner towards you. In his golden furs, Daddy Rich is returning home, flanked by his 2 burly bodyguards. They hesitate when they see you. Speckles of blood on his cuffs and shoes confirm your suspicions. If you have energy blast, turn to 371. Otherwise, turn to 139 to confront Daddy Rich. So I'm going to 139, which means I have to fight the bodyguards, of course. So I have a skill of 13, stamina of 19 first. So bodyguards 1 at a time, and if you defeat them, it says you may take on Daddy Rich himself. So I've got 3 opponents now. 7, 8, and 8. 9. So first the 2 bodyguards, and then Daddy Rich. So bodyguard number 1 has a skill of 8, stamina of 9. So I've got a 5 skill point advantage. He needs to roll 5 better than me to hit me, or 6 actually. So he rolls 8, 2. Okay, I knew when I said those numbers that those were the ones that were going to come up. 6. I roll a 3. So he's down to 7. He rolls a 6. I roll a 3 again. Good thing I've got good skill. He rolls a 7. I roll a 10. He rolls a 6. And I roll a 3 again. And he's got 1 stamina left. And in this book, that means he's knocked out and can be taken to the authorities. You do not kill criminals in this book because you are a goody two-shoes. So, next bodyguard's got a skill of 7, which means I've got a 6 skill point advantage, and he needs to roll 7 better than me to hit me. So, he rolls a 3, I roll a 12. He rolls 11, I roll 8. He rolls a 10, I roll a 10. And he's down to 2, which means he is also knocked out. And then I can take on Daddy Rich, who is better at fighting than his bodyguards, would you know. I've got a 4 skill point advantage. He rolls a 6, I roll a 7. He rolls a 7, I roll a 5. And finally, perhaps, he rolls 6 and I roll 9. So he's down to 2, which means he's knocked out, and I can take these crooks to the authorities. Right. If you capture all 3, you may turn them over to the authorities and award yourself 3 hero points. So 3 hero points, and then turn to 73. Right. You change back into your street clothes, turn to 181. The familiar bleeping on your wrist alerts you. Your crime watch is receiving a message. The electronic voice speaks 2 words. Parker, airport. Hurriedly, you change into the Silver Crusader and speed towards the outskirts of the city. It never rains, but it pours. Halfway there, the crime watch bleeps again. This time the voice is warning you of another incident at Peter Laboratories. You have no indication of which is more urgent. Where would you go? So this is where I know that if I go to the airport, I get the clue that I need. So that's what I'm going for. So I'm going to go to Parker Airport. You arrive at Parker Airport and ask the nearest security guard whether anything is happening. The Silver Crusader, he gasps. Thank goodness you're here. Follow me, I'll take you to the control tower. You follow him up into the control tower where you find the place buzzing with activity. Well, wouldn't it always be? The air traffic controller greets you nervously. Have you heard? No? The police are on their way. Some guy calling himself the Tormentor has hijacked a DC-10 full of passengers to London. He's mad. No demands. Nothing. Says he'll crash the plane. Blames it all on Susan. We don't know what to do. A complete nutter. Is there anything you can do? Is there anything you can do? Susan. Yeah, I think I heard this. This is a story we heard last time, isn't it? Now there was Susan is his ex, and what was that again? Hang on. Let's see, 386. Let's see if I can find it again now. Okay, so we know that from the different clues we picked up on different playthroughs now that the Tormentor's real name is Richard Storm. And then in the beginning, where you have the newspaper vendor, you can buy a newspaper and you can read. First, you read something that is about the robbery, and then you can read on. And if you read on, you get this thing, and it says here, Richard, in the personals column, it says, Richard Storm, all is forgiven. How was I to know she was the private nurse? Phone me on blah, blah, blah. Love, Susan. So that's this guy's ex-girlfriend, Susan. And what he was doing with the nurse, I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, so that's the story. So a little bit of flavor, I think. That's quite nice. It's not just a mindless criminal doing mindless things without any motivation. This is actually something we can learn why he's doing in the story, which I think is great. And that doesn't always happen that way in these books. So it's got a little bit more, or the backstory actually makes it more interesting. Okay. Blames it all on Susan. We don't know what to do. A complete nutter. Is there anything you can do? Is there anything you can do? If Susan means anything to you, well, of course, I didn't read the newspaper now. If I had read the newspaper, I would have had information now that would have helped me deal with that. Actually, that would have been interesting to see what happened. Because it occurs to me now, I didn't need to go after Daddy Rich there. That's just what I'd done before. So I could have read the newspaper, and then I could have gone there. Yeah, I suppose. If I'm able to... I don't... Yeah, at the moment I can't actually see the path from the newspaper to this bit, but never mind. I'm sure there is one. Okay. So I've got super strength, which means I go to paragraph 84. I was going to have a little quick look and see what happens if you do know Susan. Ah, yes, use the phone number. Okay. Right, super strength 84. I'm not going to read that now. I'm going to save that for another time, actually, because I will play this again. You rush out of the control tower and zoom up into the sky towards the low-flying aircraft circling the airport. You reach it easily and enter through the emergency door release. The rush of the air alerts the passengers, and they gasp as they see the Silver Crusader enter. You close the door and motion for everyone to remain calm. Luckily, the cockpit door is closed, and the tormentor has not noticed your entry. Hasn't he? Surely there would be a big alert flash on his instrument panel saying that, "Ooh, door open, door open, cabin decompression, etc., etc." Oh well. The way is clear for you to surprise the villain. You swing open the cockpit door. Inside, the two frightened pilots are tied against one wall. At the controls is a shaggy-haired madman whose wide grin turns to a look of astonishment as you appear. You must spring on him quickly. Right. So 8, 9. So I've got a 5 skill point advantage. He rolls a 5. I roll an 8. He's down to 7. He rolls an 8. I roll a 9. He's down to 5. He rolls an 8 again. I roll an 11. He's down to 3. And finally, perhaps he rolls a 9 and I roll a 4. And that is a draw. Yes. He rolls a 7. I roll a 6. And he is down to 1 and is knocked out. If you defeat him within 10 combat rounds, turn to 346. Well, I sort of did that, didn't I? So, otherwise, I think the plane probably crashes. I'm just having a quick peek at that. Yes, he crashes the plane. So, right, so I defeat him and 346. While the struggle is fought, the aircraft falls into a steep dive. Your last blow fells your foe. As he slumps to the floor, you grab the controls of the plummeting aircraft and shout for the stewardess. She arrives and is able to untie the pilots. In the nick of time, they take over from you and are able to guide the plane down to a safe landing. Turn to 35. You hand the tormentor over to the authorities, and he is bundled off into a waiting police car. You stoop to pick up a piece of paper, which seems to have fallen from his pocket. Opening it up, you find it appears to be a note scribbled down, perhaps from a telephone conversation. The note is ripped in half, and the line at the top of the paper is F.E.A. Under this, a message which reads, "A meeting on 27th this month." You consider this for a moment, fold the paper up and tuck it into your belt. You may add 2 hero points, and this is where you should get a luck point as well for finding a clue, actually, because it inconsistently gives you a luck point for clues in this book, but sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. And also there's at least one place where you don't get hero points when you should have got hero points is when you kill the shark. So there are a few inconsistencies in this book, but I just really like it so much. I don't mind the inconsistencies. Okay, so 2 hero points, and we now know that the meeting is on the 27th. And I go to paragraph 10. You leave the airport and head for home. What a day! You slump into a chair in front of the TV and relax with a long cold drink. Or a cup of tea. Let me add 6 stamina points. Okay, so I'm back up to full stamina. 6 stamina points for the rest. One thing disturbs you. Your boss, Jonah White, will be livid when you turn up for work tomorrow. I don't know why you even have a job. Yeah, oh well. See, if this was today, I suppose you would have to be crowdfunded or something. Silver Crusader, now on Patreon. Yeah. Do you want me to keep solving crimes? Do you keep fighting crime in Titan City? Please support me with whatever you can on Patreon. Yeah. Oh well. Also, it could be on Instagram and stuff, couldn't it? On TikTok. Right. The next morning you set off to work early. No, hang on. Jonah White will be livid when you turn up for work tomorrow. You will have to invent some pretty convincing excuses. The next morning, you set off to work early. You decide to travel by subway to make sure you get to work on time, although you could have flown, really. But since when has a superhero's life ever been easy? Help! Shouts a voice further up the crowded carriage. Pickpocket! Oh no, just what you needed. You force your way through the crowd on the busy train. As you reach the pickpocket's victim, that familiar beep, beep, beep sounds from your crime watch. Its electronic voice speaks. Rad, square, hurry. You sigh, but what will you do? The train is pulling into the station and you will have to change trains immediately if you are to reach Rad Square quickly. Or you could just fly. If you want to do this, turn to 201. If you want to apprehend the pickpocket, turn to 185. Now, I think I'm quite sure now that the pickpocket is a red herring, possibly. Or is he? I know you get clues from him, but I'm not sure if they are essential or not. Well, I suppose you do get the one. Yeah, you know what? I'll see if I go to Rad Square, I'll have to fight something with a skill of 10 and a stamina of 11. I get 2 hero points for that. If I go for the pickpocket, I am moving on to 86. Okay, so I think I'll just go with the easiest route now. And the easiest route. Okay, so that is to handle the pickpocket, actually. Isn't it? I actually haven't. Yeah. Right, so I'll handle a pickpocket. Okay. 185. You rush up to a puny-looking, bespectacled man who's shaking with fright. There, he cries, pointing to a man running up through the next carriage. He's stolen my wallet. You race after him. No one else moves. They don't want to get involved. If only you could change into the Silver Crusader. Roll 2 dice and compare the total with your skill. 10, yeah. If the total is less than or equal to your skill, turn to 166. So, you gain ground and catch up with the pickpocket. As you grab him, he spins round to face you and draws out a knife. You will have to fight him with your bare hands. Well, that's what I'm used to doing. As you cannot risk revealing yourself as a Silver Crusader. So he's got 7 and 6. So I've got a 6 skill point advantage on him. Do I actually need to write this down? Okay, 7, 6. And I've got 19 stamina now. So he rolls a 6, I roll an 8, and oops, he rolls a 3. Okay, there we go. He's down to 2, and I knocked him out already. And I go to 296. You go through the man's pockets to retrieve the wallet. He is carrying some peculiar things, no doubt the pickings of his trade. Along with the wallet, you find a cigarette packet, which contains a crumpled piece of paper, a tape cassette, and a map. Before handing the pickpocket over to a security guard on the train, you may manage to take one of these from him. Which did you take? So I'm going to take the tape, because I know there's a clue there, although I don't think I'll need it. Because I still don't know where that fits in. You sit down next to a kid listening to a Walkman and borrow it to listen to the tape. It seems to be a recording of a telephone conversation between a man and a woman. The conversation ends, "Don't worry. The treasures are being collected and replaced by our agent, Mustafa Karim. We will have them all soon. Remember, we meet the day after tomorrow on board the yacht." Okay, bye. So I think this is a red herring for the location of the meeting. So if you look at the map, you get a map reference. So that's trying to trick you to go downtown. If you pick the tape, you get the mention of the harbor. And if you pick the cigarettes, there's something in there that I can't see what is because I don't have ETS. But if you had ETS, I'll just have a little quick look now. Yeah, it's also a little bit sort of trying to sort of make you trick you into thinking maybe the meeting is somewhere else than it is. It makes you think it is in town, I think. So, all red herrings, these ones. Right, so it says here now, this Mustafa Karim sounds like a dubious character. If you come across him, you may question him about his activities by doubling the reference number you are on at the time. Mustafa Karim. I still don't know where he is though. ×2. Okay. And add 1 luck point. Okay, so luck is back to 8. And turn to 86, which is my next page. The train stops at Grim Street Station and you get off to go to work. You try to settle into your desk discreetly. No such luck. Lafayette, get in here at once. No sooner had you stepped through the office door than Jonah White's booming voice summoned you. You creep into his office, mumbling scanty excuses for being late yet again. Enough, he yells. What do you think we are running here? A charity? Do you suppose I should be grateful that you ever even grace us with your presence? Very noble of you indeed to even bother coming in at all. Well, I tell you what, I'm feeling kind today. You can have the rest of the day off. Without pay. And if you're not in first thing tomorrow morning, you can start looking for another job. You slink out of his office with your tail between your legs. How can you tell him what you've been doing? And now you've been suspended for a day. Where will you go? Will you spend the day at Disneyland, the amusement park, or will you go downtown, perhaps to do some shopping? So I'm going to Disneyland, of course, because I want to get the Scarlet Prankster for my second vital clue. Disneyland is swarming with holidaymakers enjoying their day out at the amusement park. The smell of candy floss and hot dogs hangs in the air, and as you stroll about, youngsters clutching stuffed animals run laughing past you. Screams of delight from roller coaster riders turning through the corkscrew break through the general hubbub. If you are going to enjoy yourself today, which ride do you want to try? The Big Dipper, the Funhouse, or the Dodgems? I'm going to the Funhouse because this is where the Scarlet Prankster resides. Let's see, where are we? Funhouse 174. You pay the admission charge and enter the funhouse. You walk along a narrow passageway. As you turn a dark corner, a luminous skeleton appears in front of you, shrieking wildly. You jump and then laugh, just one of the scares of the funhouse. Further down the passage, your feet stumble on a wobbly floor. Then the walls begin to sway. Suddenly your foot steps on something and you fall forwards. But this time it is not a wobbly floor. You fall through the ground and land on a rubber mattress in a dark pit. Sorry, got some mucus at the back of my nose there. Although it is pitch black, you can tell that you are not alone. Another figure touches you. A voice calls out and you answer. Oh, thank God someone else is here, gasped the man's voice. I've been here for 2 hours. I can't find a way out, and not only that, my wallet has gone. I'm sure it has been stolen, and I don't think this was any accident. My name is Grant Morley, a reporter on the Titan Times. I have been covering an expose to reveal the identity of the Scarlet Prankster. Earlier, I met an informant at the Big Wheel who gave me a key to one of the rooms here, where he thought I could get some useful information. That key was in my wallet. You consider the situation. The Scarlet Prankster is a dangerous criminal who delights in grisly practical jokes. You decide to change into the Silver Crusader under cover of the pitch blackness. Then the two of you search the walls for a way out. You find a hidden door which lets you into the main room of the funhouse. If you have super strength, turn to 248. 248. If you want to check some of the special attractions of the funhouse, turn to 143. Alternatively, you may know exactly where you want to look. If this is the case, you will know how to get there and you may go there immediately. So I will go deduct 50 from this reference to get Scarlet Prankster. So 198. You fly up towards the central dome of the funhouse. Sure enough, your information was correct. High up the wall of the funhouse is a door. You alight outside the door, burst inside, and startle a hunched figure dressed in a colorful jester's costume. He grabs for a piece of paper on the table in front of him and tries to stuff it into his mouth, but you are too quick for him. You manage to stop him eating the paper and must now fight him. So, he's got a skill of 9 and a stamina, a skill of 9 and a stamina of 8. So I've got a 4 skill point advantage. He rolls a 4, I roll a 7. He rolls a 6, I roll a 6. And finally, perhaps, maybe not, he rolls 11, I roll 8. So that is, I'm good. He is down to 2 stamina and he is knocked unconscious. So I defeat him and go to 3, 3, 3. You pick up the piece of paper that he was trying to destroy. It bears the emblem of F.E.A.R. The message is short. Do not forget, the meeting starts at 9 a.m. So now I've got the date and I've got the time, 27th of this month, 9 a.m. Unfortunately, it bears no more information, but this time could be useful to you. You carry the Scarlet Prankster down to the ground and hand him over to the police. You may add 3 hero points, so up to 11. Now turn to 103. Where are you heading as you leave Disneyland? Will you make your way downtown to do some shopping or go home? Let's see, where are we now? So the only thing left for me to do really is to get to the end safely. Just seeing where my I'm wondering what else there is for me to do now. Because there are some things I still haven't done here. And I presume I'll still get to the, well, obviously I'll get to the end anyway. Well, I do need to go to get a circuit jammer at some point. Let's see, 215 is there. I think that regardless of what path I take now, I think I'll be able to get a circuit jammer because I've seen it 2 of them, 2 places. And yeah. Okay, so if you decide to go home, you may either want to rest for the evening, or you may wish to sacrifice stamina gain and spend the evening at the theater if you can get a ticket for tonight's performance of Rats. I know what happens there. But maybe I should try something else, just for variety. So if I rest and go to 327, so I go home for the night and stay there. Next morning you leave for work early. You are sorely tempted to leave your crime watch behind. You dare not miss another day's work. But your fears are unwarranted. To your utter amazement, your crime watch is silent. You arrive at work early. Jonah White cannot believe his eyes when he enters the office to find you hard at work at your desk. At lunchtime, you catch up on the day's news on the teletext TV. Oh, that's always so amusing when I read that. Teletext TV, it's so quaint. Two stories catch your attention. One is of a strange attack in Audubon Park. A woman has been seriously mauled by what she calls a monster. But a specialist at the hospital thinks the claw marks of an animal of some kind. The second story is of a man who has had his chest crushed in the grounds of the Natural History Museum. There are no clues as to who or what was responsible. It is as if whatever caused the man's death simply walked away. Both incidents are being investigated by the police. You decide to do a little investigation of your own. You change into the Silver Crusader and set off to make your inquiries. Where will you head first? Now, I've been to the circus, and I know how to... and the thing is, of course, you can't actually deal with that without the proper clue, which I don't have. Because that's the one you get on the beach when you kill the shark. I've been to the zoo. I don't think that led me anywhere. I got a clue there of some sort. I'm not sure what that is. And then there is a museum of natural history. So I'm wondering if I should go to the museum and have a little look. I'm going to do a sort of save game now in case I've messed it up, but most likely I should be okay. The curator of the Natural History Museum is very helpful and agrees to show you around the exhibits. Would you ask him to show you the model reconstruction of dinosaurs or the large mammals section? Okay, so this is finally something I haven't mapped before. So I've got 345 dinosaurs or 253 mammals. I'm going to look at the large mammals section. Is that? Oh, hang on. Somebody was crushed. Could be a mammal, could be a dinosaur. Large mammals. I'm going to go with the large mammals. 253. The curator takes you around the stuffed exhibits. Gorillas, rhinos, great cats, even a whale. They're all there and you examine them with interest. Two in particular catch your attention. One of the tigers has dried blood on its claws, but there is no way of knowing whether the blood is human or animal, or even how long it has been there. Also, the curator tells you that the elephant was moved into the ground floor private exhibit rooms yesterday for cleaning. If you want to pursue your investigations with these exhibits, 10 to 161, 161. If you wish to have a look at the dinosaurs, go to 345. Is this trying to tell me to go with the dinosaurs? I'm going to go with the dinosaurs then. Okay, 345. The dinosaur exhibits are very realistic, but the curator merely laughs when you suggest the possibility of one of them being responsible for the man's death. Apart from the fact that these creatures have been dead for several million years, he chuckles, how on earth would you suggest they got out of the building? Through the doors? One of these brutes would take the side of the museum with it, if it decided to go and look for another home. No, if you're looking for clues to the murder, I suggest you try Titan Zoo. You'll have better luck there. You feel a little foolish for even making the suggestion. Going to try the zoo, turn to 408. Otherwise, turn to 148. Do I have 148? I do have 148. Okay, so maybe 161 was the way to go. I'll just have a quick peek now because I'm not playing this for a while. Yeah, no, that's still just a red herring, it looks like. Okay, so 148. You change back into your street clothes and set off. A beep 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 sound comes from your wrist. That's the one with the typo. As you hold your crime watch up, it speaks to you. Museum of Egyptian Heritage. Do you want to follow its advice and head for the Egyptian Museum downstairs? No, downtown. Alternatively, you are now not far from the home of Jerry the Grass. Would you prefer to pay him a call? If so, turn to 38. So, in the Egyptian Museum, there's also, I haven't found anything there. Still doesn't seem to be anything there either. So I think I'll just go to Jerry the Grass, and he has a clue for me, I think. I'm not sure if that's anything useful, but there you go. You visit the Grass as a Silver Crusader. I'm sure he knows my real identity as well, surely. Being such a clever so-and-so. Anyway, he lives in a rundown part of town, in a dirty one-bedroom apartment. He is horrified to see you, as your appearance will surely blow his cover. But, as always, he has some interesting information. Apparently, the man-trapper has control of the mind of Sidney Knox, a research assistant at the Murdoch Nuclear Laboratories. Normally a passive type, he spends all his spare time in an observation tower at the lab watching migratory birds. Knox has been implanted with a post-hypnotic suggestion. No one knows exactly what this is, but Jerry's information will help you. If you find yourself looking for Sidney Knox, so Sidney Knox, deduct 40 from the reference, so Sidney Knox minus 40. You are on at the time and turn to this new reference. You may add 1 luck point for this information, yeah. Oh. You leave discreetly and go home. The rest of the evening is uneventful, and you may add 6 stamina points for the rest. Turn to 215. So that is our next day and our next page of map. Right. In the morning, you set off for a stroll. As you turn the corner at the end of the block, the beeping from your wrist signifies the start of your busiest day yet. Murdoch Nuclear Laboratories, speaks the message from your crime watch. Gulp. Atomic weapons experiments are conducted at the Murdoch Laboratories. Whatever is happening could be very serious indeed. You must get to the Murdoch labs without delay. An atmosphere of panic is in the air when you arrive. A series of controlled radiation experiments were being conducted on animals to help determine the effects of a nuclear explosion. Some startling results had been achieved. Under certain conditions, distinct signs of increased mental powers were being shown by several of the experimental animals. Some of these were quite spectacular. They had, for example, produced a dog able to talk and a chimpanzee able to play computer games. Except dogs can't talk because their vocal tract isn't suited to it. Right. But they had no doubt that similar experiments on humans would have produced much more dramatic results. This theory has now been proved true. Sidney Knox, one of the research assistants, had crept into the radiation chamber that morning and subjected himself to the rays. His brain is now twice its normal size, and he has the ability to manipulate objects by willpower alone. But there is an unforeseen side effect. Sidney Knox, normally a peaceful individual, has developed a destructive streak. His powers enable him to will the radiation emitter to implode and destroy itself. The danger is if he gets anywhere near the nuclear reactor, destruction of the reactor would mean disaster on a grand scale for Titan City. No one knows where he is now, but the reactor must be protected at all costs. Where would you begin your search for the self-made mutant? At the nuclear reactor or around the test laboratories? Right. Now this is where I'm looking for Sidney Knox, and I deduct 40 from the paragraph I'm on. That's the clue. So I am going to 175. You remember your clue. You ask someone about such a room and you are directed to the observation tower. Hoping that this may lead you to the mutant, you rush up to the room at the very top. There, staring out of the window at the huge reactor structure, is a man in a white coat with a bloated head the size of a pumpkin. Didn't I see a picture of him earlier here? Now, so of course, this is him here in a good comic book style. Yeah, you can see that in the camera there. You creep up behind him, delivering a blow to the back of his neck to knock him out, and carry him downstairs to the waiting scientist. You can only hope that they can find a way either of curing him or of taming his destructive urges. Though you do not realize it, you have saved perhaps the whole of Titan City from a deadly threat by capturing Sidney Knox. In appreciation of your saving the laboratory, the scientists bring you a small pen-like device. Crusader, take this as a gift from us, pleads the Institute director. One of our men made this in his spare time. He calls it a circuit jammer. It is still to be fully tested, but seems to work okay. I know you often face mechanical villains and their contraptions. With this, you will be able to disable their circuits. You are looking for Vladimir Utoshki, and he is a powerful adversary. With this, you will stand a better chance. You thank the director for his gift. It may well come in handy. You may award yourself 5 hero points. So that means I've got... I've been messing up my hero points. I've been putting them on luck instead. So I had 8 and 5, 13. Yeah. One time when I got 3 hero points, the other time I increased my luck to 11 accidentally from 8. So now my luck is back on 8 and my hero points are at 13, which is the correct one. Okay. And I got a circuit jammer. I'll remember that, but I'll just put it down on my circuit jammer on my character sheet. There we are. Turn to 125. You leave the Murdoch laboratories and head back into town. Walking along Danvers Street, you see a crowd huddled round the shop window, and you step up to see what is going on. It is an electrical shop, and the people are staring at a television in the center of the window. A newsflash message is being reported by the announcer. You cannot hear what is being said, but you recognize the face on the photograph, which appears briefly on the screen. It is Giorgio Schultz, better known as the Poisoner. What, you wonder, is he up to? Perhaps you'd better go down to police headquarters and find out. You turn to leave and groan as a beep, beep, beep sounds on your wrist. Just what you needed. You lift it to your ear and listen to its message. Stanley's swimming pool. Where will you go now? To police headquarters or to the Stanley swimming pool? Now, if you go to the pool, you actually lose 2 hero points because you mess things up, because you don't have the right superpower for that. So I will go to police headquarters, which also is a path I have not taken before. So this is quite exciting for me. A new path. I love new paths. So if I didn't love new paths, would I love these books? Probably not. Okay, so it's part of the fun, isn't it? To that combination of the trodden path and the unknown path. I think that makes it quite exciting to play these books. You arrive at police headquarters and speak to Lieutenant Wojak, spot like Kojak, who seems to be quite distressed. The news has leaked out, Crusader, he explains. We were trying to keep the poisoner's threats a secret, but it seems some reporter got his hands on the story. The poisoner has asked for 1 million in unmarked notes by this evening. Otherwise, yeah, notes, that means money. Bills. Yeah. Otherwise, he says everyone in Titan City will suffer. You know the guy. He is a madman. And he's involved with that F.E.A.R organization. What can we do? Apparently 2 citizens have already died from minute traces of poison found in their milk bottles. You offer to try to track him down. Where will you begin your search? The Cowfield Dairy, or the city's largest drugstore in Shuta Mall? If there is somewhere else you'd like to go, you will know how to get there. So, I don't have any clues to the poisoner this time. Cowfield Dairy, wasn't that... haven't I seen that before somewhere? Yeah, it's a different reference, so. Right, map. Okay, so. So, drugstore, 268. Or 361. Cowfield Dairy. So either to the dairy or to the drugstore. I'll go to the dairy. You arrive at Cowfield Dairy and make a thorough inspection of their sterilization equipment. The staff are most cooperative and are as anxious to find out what happened as you are. All seems to be in order, and there is no clue as to how the poisoner managed to drop traces of his poison into the 2 milk bottles. You have no way of pursuing this case further. Turn to 107. Okay. Okay. Suppose I need the clue there for this guy to be able to do more. The matter of the F.E.A.R meeting is playing on your mind. Perhaps it would be useful to talk to Colonel Saunders, who commands the army base out of town. The colonel may have some news on the meeting, or at least you could compare notes. Will you go to the army base, to the 342, or will you follow up the earlier summons by a crime watch to Stanley Pool? I'm not going to the pool, because again, I know I'll lose hero points for it, and I won't be able to solve anything. So I am going to go to Colonel Saunders, 342. Oh, hang on. It's already up there, isn't it? 342. Okay. Already have that on my map as an option. I didn't take it at the time, so 342. You arrive at the army base and are escorted to see Colonel Saunders. He greets you with a warm handshake. Crusader, he smiles. Well, this is an honor. What can we do for you? You explain you have come to compare notes on the activities of F.E.A.R. So far, Saunders starts, we have come up with nothing. Like you, we have heard that a top-level meeting is imminent, and if we are to prevent their villainous escapades, we must capture their leader, Vladimir Utoshsky, before the meeting can take place. They are powerful, Crusader, and ruthless. You can count on all the help we can give you. Suddenly, an aide bursts into the room. Sir, he pants, helicopters, identity unknown, coming towards the base at 4 o'clock. The colonel leaps into action. Contact them on the radio. If they will not identify themselves, we will open fire. If you have super strength, you fly out to investigate. Turn to 379. Okay, so... otherwise, turn to 58. So 379 or 58. Okay, so super... no, that's strength or not. Okay, so 379. Let's see what happens. You fly out over the camp fence towards the advancing helicopters. Some 20 helicopters are flying low in towards the camp. You stop in mid-air as you see the insignia on the side of the leader. It is the death's head of F.E.A.R. As it flies closer, you can see who is leading this attack. The macro brain, a product of genetic experimentation, like yourself. The macro brain has developed a tremendous intelligence, but unlike yourself, he has decided to use it to further the cause of evil. A formidable combination, you think. On your own, there is little you could do against 20 choppers, but perhaps you could take out the leading one, carrying your old foe. As you consider this, a warning comes from your crime watch. Council buildings. Fast. You consider your options. Will you decide to attack the leading helicopter to try to defeat the mastermind behind this attack, or will you leave this matter to the army and head into town to find out what is happening at Titan Council buildings? Right. So we got 32 or 154. Okay, so we got council or attack. Right. I suppose I should save my game again, just in case something bad happens. Should I attack? I think I should attack, actually. Probably not. Yeah. Okay. I had a bad feeling about that. Attacking is actually an insta-death. So, yeah, I'm going to go to the council buildings. Good thing I saved my game. There we are. Okay, so do not attack. You speed off back to Titan City and arrive at the council buildings. Everyone seems surprised at your visit. The day has been a peaceful one. Being a holiday, there are few people about. There certainly seems to be no danger. Your crime watch beeps again. Sorry, false alarm. Just what you needed. Turn to 311. Okay, so that is up here. Okay. You set off home to take some well-deserved rest. The prospect of the F.E.A.R meeting is weighing heavily on your mind, but for the moment you are well advised to relax for the evening. You may gain 6 stamina points for taking it easy. Next morning you are woken not by the alarm clock, but by your crime watch. Beep, beep, beep. This time the message is longer than normal and it repeats itself. Reliable information, F.E.A.R meeting today, whereabouts unknown. Spring out of bed. Today? Do you have any clues as to where the meeting is? Where will you go? Well, I'm going to the airport because I am positive that's where it is. Everything is normal at the airport as you arrive. You do not want to cause any panic, so you change into your street clothes and proceed with your plan. You may head for one of the 3 hangars to look for clues. Xavier hangar is where private and executive jets are kept. Summers hangar houses emergency helicopters. McCoy hangar is for cargo aircraft, so it makes sense for it to be Xavier hangar because private and executive jets, and also Xavier is a reference to X-Men. So, and the other ones, as far as I know, Summers and McCoy, well, there might be superhero references. I don't know them, so I'm going with Xavier hangar 394. When you arrive in Xavier hangar, mechanics are servicing 2 executive jets. You find a pair of overalls hanging on the wall, slip into them and wander around. There is nothing suspicious. In fact, you're not expecting anything to happen for a couple of hours. And what time of day are you expecting the meeting to take place? That's the 9 a.m. Add this time to today's date and add the result to this reference. So I've got the 27th is today's date, and 9 a.m. Those are the clues I picked up earlier. So that's 36. So 36 plus 394 is 430. Let's see how we get on with 430. Oh, yes. So 430. Okay. Sometime later, things begin to happen. One of the jets is evidently ready and is being prepared for a flight. 6 figures dressed in heavy coats with turned-up collars appear and get on board. Although you cannot make out any of their faces, one figure stands out as being much bulkier than the rest. His coat is an unnatural fit, bulging at all the wrong places. As he steps into the aircraft, the clang of metal on metal confirms your suspicions. Feet of steel. It is the titanium cyborg. Quickly you find a hiding place and change into the Silver Crusader. But just as quickly, the jet is leaving the hangar and taxiing up the runway. What is your power? Super strength, energy blast, or other? Okay. So we've got 3, so 2, 4, 9, other, 3, 3, 0, energy blast, or 87 super strength. Okay, so I'll go super strength, so I'm going to 87. You streak out after the plane. As it is taking off, you catch up with it and force your way inside through one of the emergency entrance doors. Inside, the meeting has already begun in a special conference room, which has been built into the plane. But your entrance has not gone unnoticed. That would have been weird if it did. As you step inside, the 6 delegates rise to their feet. All are overawed by your entry, all except one. Stand back, growls a deep electro-assisted voice. Our puny visitor is no match for the titanium cyborg. The others watch as a huge bald-headed shape steps forward. Part man, part robot, the creature has powerful electro-assisted arms, and a pulsing glow lights up in the goggles it uses for eyes. That's this guy here, I suppose. Doesn't look that menacing on the picture, does he? Do you have a circuit jammer? If so, turn to 411. If not, you will have to fight the leader of F.E.A.R. And he's got a skill of 18 and a stamina of 20. 18 skill, 1-8. That is absolutely crazy. Well, I do have a circuit jammer, so, well, thankfully. Okay, so 87, that is 1820. And then I go to 411, jammer. Okay. So 411. Hopefully that will make it a little bit easier. You press the button on your circuit jammer. The cyborg's grin fades as the device affects its electronic functions. Its abilities have been reduced to those of an ordinary man. Now you may battle the villain on more equal terms. Well, not quite, because I'm not an ordinary man, so there you go. He's now got a skill of 9 and a stamina of 10. Which means I've got a 4 skill point advantage over him. He rolled 3, I rolled 12. He rolls 3, I roll 3. He rolls 6, I roll 7. He rolls 6 and I roll 7. So he's down to 2, which means I knocked him unconscious and excuse me, and I've defeated him. I can go to 19. So let's see. So that was 9, 10. The others are shocked at the defeat of their leader. They surrender to you. You lock them in their conference room and guide the jet back to Parker Airport, where you hand them over to the authorities. Turn to 440, which I believe is the last. That's like turning to 400 in this book. That is the last paragraph. Let's see what it says. The police are amazed. Single-handedly, you have defeated the most dangerous association of criminals known to the world, and the extent of their dastardly plans soon becomes clear. Otoshki had developed a transmitting computer center, which was capable of overriding transmissions from the Pentagon to the US Star Wars satellite orbiting the Earth. He was able completely to control the superweapons on board the satellite, capable of decimating an entire city at the push of a button. His objective was the domination of the civilized countries of the world, but you have foiled his plan. The Pentagon's security codes can be changed almost immediately, and the titanium cyborg will be closely guarded for the rest of his life. You have earned 10 hero points, bringing up my total, if I've tallied them correctly now, to 23, which is a new record again. You can honestly say that you have saved the world from fear itself. Yeah, clever one. Right. That is it, my friends. That is the end there. So that's a very exciting book. I can see why I've sort of noticed when people talk about their favorite fighting fantasy books, how Appointment with Fear is actually one that's always listed quite highly as well. Even though it's sort of not your traditional fighting fantasy setting, a lot of the people who play fighting fantasy books are only into the fantasy titles. But it's closer to fantasy than science fiction is in a way, because it is a sort of that superhero comic book style thing, which is a kind of fantasy, isn't it? Just with a different setting. It's a yeah. Anyway, I really enjoyed that, and of course, this is a replayable book. If you use the different superpowers, it will be different, not completely, but to some extent. So I will revisit this book at some point in the future. But I will play all the other books first, obviously. But I may well play this one again and try a different superpower next time, which will be very exciting to see how that works out. So that means that next time it's time for let's see if I can find it here. Oh, without making everything fall down. Next time I'm going to play this. This is Rebel Planets, Fighting Fantasy Game Book number 18, and that is the next one up. So I don't know anything at all about Rebel Planet. All I know is actually this was a computer game on the Commodore 64 and Spectrum, I think, and similar platforms back in the 80s. Because I remember this picture, not so much from the book, but I remember it from the adverts in computer magazines. Some kind of adventure game, I believe it was. So it was trying to do something similar to the book, I guess. This is a science fiction title again, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that is. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Was episode 90 of my Fighting Fantasy Gamebook series of videos. And if you did enjoy it, please leave a like, share, comment, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Join me on Patreon if you'd like to support my creative work, making videos on YouTube and other things. And I will see you in my next video, whatever that will be about. It may not, I mean, my next video will probably not be this, but my next Fighting Fantasy video will be about Rebel Planet, but I'll also do other stuff, as I'm sure you know. So thanks again for watching, and goodbye for now.